You know
Okay,
what? I'll go ahead and grant your definition, and
Okay, sure.
I will disprove how it's not even equal under your definition.
Okay, so my definition is the same in terms of importance or weight in the relationship. That's my definition. So weight meaning like if one person slacks off or messes up, it's equally as bad when each party does so. So I gave an example in terms of children. If a wife is a bad caretaker of the children when they're younger, those children will have developmental issues and they will not be successful. If a husband is a bad father to his children, he's distant, he does not chisel them, he does not mold them, those children will be spoiled and not ready to take on the real world. In both cases, both parents are equally important to the children. If one messes up, it is equally as bad as if the other messes up. In terms of cheating, if the husband cheats, it's just as bad as if the wife cheats. They may cheat in different ways, but it's equally detrimental to the marriage and the family. I guess in the most simple terms, if you want to say in terms of weight, we could also say in terms of power. Both the husband and the wife have equal power to mess each other's lives up and ruin the marriage. And so therefore I would say it is equal.
Okay, so if it's the case that you would say that the man duties is to protect and to provide, the man stops doing his duty. How is this equal to if the woman stops doing her duty? And I would say that, and let me know if you agree, the woman's duty is nurturing, caretaking, and being submissive to the man.
Correct. Yeah, there are other things, but like we can say those are the main things. Sure.
Okay. So how is that? So if it's the case that the man stops doing his duty, which is to, let's just say, protect. He's not protecting his family. Someone could come and just kill his family. How is that equal to the woman not doing her nurturing duty?
Well,
death or, I'm not going to love my kids like that.
Well, it is actually equally important. And I think you could even argue that the woman's role
No, it's not.
Well, let me make my point.
Okay.
If the woman does not nurture the children are, first of all, the point of the marriage, right? The whole point is to get married and to raise children through a marriage, to have children and raise them and educate them. So the children are the most precious thing to both parties. They are the most precious object.
But
so
how is it equal if the man isn't there to protect and there isn't any children or the wife because the man isn't there to protect?
Let me just finish my point. Okay, so he doesn't protect them. Okay, so they are vulnerable to outside sources. The mother doesn't nurture them. The children are autistic, developmentally stunted, not able to succeed. Their quality of life is going to be incredibly impacted by that.
When you say importance, do you mean I look at importance as like a priority. Like, so when you say like...
those children may grow up to commit suicide. So he's not protecting them. They may die. She doesn't nurture them. They may commit suicide. You could see it that way. That's the extreme of both examples.
But Grace, that wouldn't be equal. That wouldn't be equal and important. That would actually totally dismantle your entire definition of equal. It wouldn't be equal in importance, because what would be more important is if the man protected the family so they can breathe and live another day. It doesn't matter, like, okay, protection from death, or you look at the mother, well, I'm not gonna submit to the man and I'm not going to nurture the children, but you can still live. If you're not submitting to the man, you can still live if you're not nurturing the children. Those duties are not as important as the man's duty. So when you look at importance, I look at priority, right? Then when you go to your value, this is what I'm saying. Some of these questions is going to be hard for you to actually answer under your definition. Well, it is, because you didn't give a good answer at all. But then when you look at the value, Then when you look at the value of the man and a woman's duties, It's valued differently because if the man isn't doing his duty, which is to protect and to provide, what are the children and the woman eating? How are the children and the woman staying safe from bad, negative outside influences or physical influences that can, take their life?
I understand what you're saying. And of course, it's a problem if your life is vulnerable to outside attacks. First of all, if a man doesn't protect, if he fails to defend his wife and kids, they may not get attacked in the first place. Whereas motherly love is crucial to the development.
It's a hypothetical.
Of every human being. But let's just say hypothetically. Okay, so you're saying that just being alive is more important than your quality of life. I would argue those are equivalent. It is just as important to be healthy.
No. If you're a Christian, you don't believe that to be true, Grace.
It is just as important for those children. Let me just make my point. It is just as important for those children to be healthy and to be developed with nurture and love. Otherwise, they will fail miserably at life, as it is for them to be defended from outside attacks. That is clearly true. And I think you could even argue that it's more important for the mother to nurture them. Although I wouldn't argue that. I'd say they're equal.
Okay. So, one, what you said in regards to, negative circumstances and suffering is equal to death. If you're a Christian, this is untrue because there's many passages in the Bible that goes against this. It even says things like, if your mother and your father forsaken you, I would be there for you, right? So even if the worst circumstances, if your mother and your father forsaken you, you can still find Christ. Christ is still going to be with you. So that debunks your entire argument from what you just said, Grace. That doesn't adhere to Christian ethics at all.
The quote that you just gave actually proves my argument. If your mother and father forsake you. So once again, they're being equivocated. It doesn't say if your father forsakes you, come to me. But if your mother forsakes you, well, it's not that big of a deal. It says mother and father. So that actually proves my point.
No, it doesn't, Grace. And I'll explain how it doesn't prove your point, because your point is that I made a clear distinction between, the father's role of protecting and providing is not equal to the mother's role of nurturing and being submissive and taking care of the children.
This is the crux of the argument.
Oh, got it. So let me finish, Grace. I'll let you speak. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I made a clear distinction between the two. And under your definition of equal, because I'm granting your definition, so I'm doing an internal critique on your definition. You said that it's the same, it's equal because it's the same importance, it's the same value, and it holds the same weight. Correct. It does not hold the same weight. And you saying, and when I brung up the hypothetical, if the man stops doing his duty, then that is not the same as if the woman stops doing her duty. The children, the husband, and the woman does not die if the woman isn't nurturing and being submissive. That does not happen. But if the man stops doing his duty, if it's the case that death is, danger is, in the vicinity, then that would happen. You get what I'm saying? Then
I understand that.
The children and the mother can die. So then you said that, suffering and death is equal. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Because if suffering and death was equal, then if you're suffering, then you might as well die. Why is there many verses in the Bible that says that even if you're suffering, God is there for you?
You're giving an extreme example. Most of the time, if a man...
To show that your logic isn't consistent when it comes to your definition of things being equal.
My logic is consistent.
No, it isn't.
Hold on, let me make this point. Okay,
sure,
you want to talk about death and life. Okay, if a mother is not nurturing to her baby, it will die. So there's my counter.
Nurturing in what way?
Mother does not nurture her child, does not give it face-to-face contact, does not give it skin-to-skin contact, does not love it. There have been studies on this. The baby will die. So if you want to take extreme examples, if the father doesn't protect the children...
What about when mothers just give their baby up for adoption?
Nurture?
What about when mothers just give their baby up for adoption? Does the baby die? That doesn't make any
That's
sense.
a different argument. If the man,
That's not a different argument. You just said that if the mother, you just said that if the mother does not nurture and take care of the baby and give skin to skin contact and eye to eye contact and all of this stuff, then the baby dies. There's many women that just give their children up for adoption and the children don't die. They do this at birth. Once the baby pop out, yeah, get this little nigga away. I don't want him no more. So what are you speaking about?
Okay,
if that's the case, then all of these babies would be dying.
That's a stupid point because
adoption clinics.
A husband can give his wife and kids to someone else or to the welfare system, and they won't die. Okay, it's not the same.
That refutes your argument. Then it was a dumb argument, Grace.
So then neither of them are that important, but both of them are obviously important. Also, if you want to speak about nurturing, okay, if a woman gets pregnant and she's not nurturing, she'll abort the child. She'll kill the child, right? 1/3 of my generation,
like nurturing, like what? What do you mean?
Let me make this point. 1/3 of my generation is dead from unnurturing mothers killing us in the womb. So they are equally important. They are equally of equal weight.
Okay, so you're saying that abortion you're speaking about. You're saying abortion, those women weren't they weren't being nurturing.
I would say an abortion is the opposite of a nurturing mother, yes.
Okay, got it. So, I would agree that abortion is the opposite of a nurturing mother. But as far as nurturing itself and the duties that nurturing has within it, the mother can't even do the bulk of those duties until the baby is born anyway. So,
that is completely
what do you mean?
Untrue. That is not true. If a woman doesn't care about herself or her body, or that child when it's in the womb, she can kill it, she can poison it, she can give it defects, she can drink alcohol, she can do drugs. If she's not nurturing of that baby, she can up for life in the womb, and she has total control over that. So you want to tell me women don't have the same? Being nurturing is not important for human life.
No, that's not what I said. I made a clear distinction.
There are aborted fetuses in the garbage can.
No, I made a
clear
distinction. We
would have appreciated it if our mothers had been a little more nurturing.
Yeah, I made a clear distinction with the roles and the duties that a mother has to do when the baby is inside the womb and when the baby is outside of the womb, right? So when you're speaking about nurturing and you're trying to make the argument that, once again, you have to prove that how is nurturing equal, like equivalent to the man's duty, right? And I'm saying that if the man doesn't do his duty, there is no wife, there isn't no children. Because if he isn't there to protect them, since the beginning of time, a saber-toothed tiger would just come and eat the baby, or another tribe would come and take over, would grape the wife and take the baby, or kill off the wife and take whatever it may be. If the father isn't doing his duty, their life is on the line. When the mother isn't doing their duty,
their life is on the line. The child's
life, let me finish. The child's life necessarily, with the baby being outside the womb, the child's life is not on the line. And I'll even take it a step further. If we're speaking to the nature of men and women, if the husband did not want his wife to have an abortion, she wouldn't have the ability to do it because she's not physically stronger than the man. So even if the wife wanted to abort the baby, well, how she's going to go ahead and do it if the man does not allow her to do it from the nature aspect, because she is the weaker vessel. So then if we're moving it, you still need to answer and give me. Yeah, but you haven't really answered the question and showed how it's actually equal if, the man doesn't do his duty, the wife and children die. But if the woman does her duty, the wife and children, they don't die. I'm saying that everything that the wife does, the man can still do when the baby is outside of the womb.
Okay, first of all, that's not true. A man can't breastfeed. And even once the baby is outside of
Similac.
The womb, that's not the same thing. That is really not the same
The baby would still survive.
It will survive, that's true, but the woman has a huge benefit she can add to the baby. So first of all, I want to clarify.
That's a clear distinction.
That's a clear
distinction.
Hold
but
on,
even with what you just said, it's a clear
Grace
distinction that it's... Yeah, go ahead, Grace.
Okay. Yeah. You're giving me an extreme example most of the time, if a man does not defend his wife and children, they won't die. But let's say they do die. Okay, that's an extreme example. On the opposite side,
To prove how it's not equal.
If a woman is not nurturing to her baby inside and outside of the womb, that child can die, and those children do die. And also, if she is not nurturing to the man and children, she can also kill them. So the opposite of a nurturing wife and mother is a mother who poisons her husband and her children, which women can do. So nurturing is just as important as defending.
How can the wife poison the man and kill him?
I'm saying it's an extreme example. She literally could do that if she was.
Oh,
not
you mean like
nurturing
actually
enough.
like what would? Well, how can she do it void of nurturing? Explain. You're speaking, but you're not demonstrating. How can the woman not nurturing poison the man and kill him?
Okay, so in the Black community, right? Women are not nurturing of their sons. They do not raise their sons up and give them to the father to mold and chisel into good, strong men. They're not nurturing. They alienate their children from their fathers. They're harsh towards their sons. Their sons grow up, become parts of gangs, and get killed. That's one way that non-nurturing can get a child killed. They can commit suicide. They can become drug addicts. They can become, the loneliness epidemic is because of non-nurturing mothers. Okay? Many of the biggest problems that society faces are due to mothers' failures. Abortion, loneliness, suicide, drug addiction. That's because these children did not get the nurturing they needed from their mothers. So it is just as important to receive nurturing from your mother as it is to be protected by your father. 100%.
Then why is it, well, then you have to go with these stats. Then why is it the case that single father households do just as good as two parent households, and they do better than single mother households, which means that the man can actually do the duties that the mother can do, which is nurturing. Your argument is defeated. Once again, I'll repeat it back to you if you didn't understand. You thought you was cooking, but you wasn't cooking, Grace. You actually made my argument for me. If it's the case that the woman's duty is just as important if she doesn't do the duty as the man if he doesn't do his duty, this isn't true. Because why is it the case that single father households do just as good as if two parents is in a household, but a single mother household does not do as good? This would mean that the man can also do his duty of protecting and providing, but he can also do the woman's duty as well, which then the kids would experience the same outcomes as a two-parent household.
I challenge that statistic. I do not.
What?
I do not.
Go ahead and challenge it.
Parent households of either sex do better than two parent households.
No one said better, Grace. No one said better.
So single dad households do better than two parent households.
No, I didn't say that, Grace. I didn't say that.
You literally did say that. But it's okay if you want to take that back.
I'll repeat it again. I didn't say that, Grace. I have these conversations all the time. I said that single father households do just as good as two parent households, just as good, the same, but they do better than single mother households. This would explain that the man not adhering to his duty is much, much worse than the woman not adhering to her duty, because the man can also do his duty and he can do the mother's duty, where the children would experience the same outcomes under a single father household as if it was the case that it was two parents in the home. But if it's just one parent in the home, which is raised by the mother, void of the father, you would see that, well, it is not as good. This is a demonstration, Grace. What I'm demonstrating here is to say that if we're speaking about the importance and the roles of the father's duty and the mother's duty, all of the mother's duties, men can do it themselves, right? So all of the duties the mother can do after the child is out of the womb, the father can do. But as far as the father's duties, the mothers cannot do those same duties, which is why the kids experience negative outcomes, which would show and demonstrate that the father's duties is more important, more valuable, and it is not the same weight, which it is not equal. That's the end of the debate.
I understand your argument.
Give me any refutation for that.
Well, I don't know what statistics you're referring to, but I don't think that single parent households of either sex do just as well as two parent households. However, I will agree with you. Let me grant you this. Single father households do better than single mother households. That's definitely true.
Okay.
That's definitely true. Because
Tyga, would you like to just pull up these, since he's moderating? I mean, I could pull it up too. Do you want to pull up statistics to show you, or are you going to grant it for the sake of argument? Because we can stop and pull this up. It's up to you.
Yeah,
I would. It may be true that like they earn the same amount of money as children.
The outcomes of the children is better under a single father.
By outcomes,
outcomes. I'll explain. So outcomes is basically when children are raised with a single mother, they experience higher rates of juvenile delinquents.
We already agree about single mothers versus single fathers. I agree that single mothers are worse. I agree, much worse.
But you agree that single mothers is much worse than two parent households. I'm making a distinction.
No, worse than single father households.
Yeah, I'm saying that
mothers do worse than single fathers. That's definitely true. Undeniable.
Oh, okay, wait, real quick. So you're granting it then?
Yes, I agree with that. I think that's true.
So if it is true that the single mother households do worse than single father households, you saying that that's true?
Yes.
Okay, if that is true, then that is a clear demonstration with statistical evidence that shows that the roles and the duties that you say are equal in value and equal in importance and equal in weight, whereas actually not equal in value and equal in importance and equal in weight.
I understand that argument. You're saying that if mothers were just as important as fathers, then how come children from single father households do better than children from single mother households?
Exactly.
There is actually an easy explanation for that, which is that fathers are more important to the child as it gets older. So the conclusion that women's roles are not as important as men's roles or within a marriage and for children, just because single fathers do better than single mothers, the conclusion doesn't follow. So if we're judging based
Tell me how.
on If we're judging based on, first of all, it's not a niche group, but single mothers are often bad people in general. They're often bad people. So,
you're making my point for me.
Well, my point is simply that single mothers are generally women who reject God, reject men, reject their husbands, reject their fathers. And so it's not surprising to me that that group of people has a worse outcome on their children. It is not as general of single fathers that they reject women, reject God, reject truth. However, single mothers are disgusting, generally speaking, awful people. So
you're making my point for me though.
I'm not, but that doesn't mean that men's roles are more important than women's roles. It just means that women who find themselves in a single mother situation are generally worse people who are going to be worse at bringing up children.
And you know what? And the thing is, no, that doesn't mean that. And the thing is, if you say that you're a Christian, there's roles and there's distinct duties, and not only duties, but there's a clear, distinct hierarchy of importance, hierarchy of priority when it comes to, Christ, the church, the man, the woman, and the children. There's a hierarchy when it comes to things, and the reason why there's a hierarchy because there's different importance. So once again, I'm just using your definition, right? And I granted it in a sense of the spiritual aspect, right? And the spiritual aspect, I went ahead and granted it in the beginning so I can do an internal critique and say, yes, spiritually, in God's eyes, it's important, it's valued, but then you put something in there and you said, wait. And once you said, wait, I'm like, well, you must be viewing the importance differently, and you must be viewing the value differently because you inserted weight. And this is where we came to the conclusion where you basically have to concede and say that, well, when it comes to men and women and their duties is not the same importance, is not the same value, and even in Christian ethics, it shows a clear hierarchy between things. Do you want me to read a verse to you?
No, I agree with you. Wives, submit to your husbands. The man is in charge. That doesn't mean that he's more important or has more weight than her. That's a simple issue in your case.
No. There's
mixing roles
under your definition of equal. When you say that, how you're saying that is equal, that it's weighed of importance and value, the weight of it is the same. I'm telling you that it's not the same, because if it was the same, we would see the same outcomes if the man stopped doing his duties and if the woman stopped doing her duties. We would see the same outcomes when it comes to children. But we do not see those. But real quick, Grace, we do not see those same outcomes if a man stops doing his duty. We know the outcomes is very detrimental. We see that. It's very clear when it comes to single mothers. But if the woman stops doing her duty, the man can still take on the woman's duties and do his duties, and the kids would experience the same outcomes as if if they were being raised by both parents.
Okay, let's move on.
That's the delineation.
I think the hierarchy thing is important. The hierarchy thing is important because you are saying that if somebody makes decisions, then they are more important or have more weight in the relationship than someone who does not. So if you're saying marriage is an unequal partnership, can you give me an analogy to marriage that you would say would be, obviously it's not the same, but a relationship that you would say is analogous? Would you say parent-child it's similar to? Boss-employee? What would you say? What is your analogous relationship to marriage if it's unequal? Because there are other unequal relationships that people can have.
Ephesians 5:23. Wives, submit to your husband as the Lord. Think about this. Wives, submit to your husband as the Lord, which is referring to your husband on earth is essentially the wife's Lord. For the husband, listen, for the husband, I'm making the distinction for you and I'm giving the differences how it's not equal. For the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. You are a Christian, but you don't see that there's a difference of hierarchy, which would be if there's a difference of hierarchy, there's a difference of importance.
Incorrect. Nope.
Okay, well, if you don't see that, I'm not sure.
A difference. Let me give you an example. If I'm a tennis player and I hire a coach,
sure,
that coach has hierarchy over me in the sense that I listen to him. I submit to that coach, correct?
Okay, you're saying the coach, you're the player, the coach, you submit to the coach gives the orders. Okay.
Yes. Does that mean that I am not equal to him of importance or weight in the relationship?
Okay, so once again, if you are
what we're determining here is whether if somebody
is the coach God. Are you making the distinction between the coach being? Are you making the analogy that the coach is God? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, I'm saying the wife submits to the husband like a tennis player submits to her tennis coach, in the sense that the tennis player, if she's a good player and he's a good coach, the coach will tell her what to do, tell her when to exercise, what to eat, what to wear, how to play, will correct her. And if she's a good player, she'll listen to him. Does that mean that she is unequal to him in the relationship in terms of importance or weight?
Yeah, because if the coach doesn't want the player to play, then the player can't play.
If the coach doesn't want the player to play, then the player can't play?
Yeah, you can bench him.
What does that mean?
Oh, you're on the bench. So what I'm saying is
tennis is a
we can
solo
just map
sport.
it on.
No. You don't get benched in tennis. Like I'm saying, tennis is like 1v1. So it's just you and the coach. There's no other team.
Yeah. All right. So the coach doesn't think that you're qualified to play in this game. I think that you should sit out this game and you need more practice. The tennis player would have to adhere to the coach's order.
That's not how it works.
Well,
that's not how it. That's not.
How are you saying that's not how it works? I never played tennis, but I ran track.
You're thinking of it in terms of like basketball, like you sit this one out, you're not good enough. But that's where there's a team. I'm talking about a partnership where there's two people. So that's why I'm using tennis. It's one coach, one player.
Yeah. So
It's
what I'm
one
saying
coach,
is
one player. So what my argument is, I think that's analogous because the coach is nothing without the player, and the player is nothing without the coach. They are both
so
of
is
equal
God
importance and
nothing
equal.
without is Christ nothing without us? And is the man nothing and is the man nothing without the wife?
A husband is nothing without a wife. You would agree you have to have a wife in order to be a husband. So what I'm saying is in terms of husband wife, I'm making the analogy that it's like a tennis player and a tennis coach. Now you're saying because it says wives submit to your husbands, that means that the husband has more importance in the relationship. That's not true because if you look at a different relationship, a tennis player and a tennis coach, the tennis coach, the tennis player submits to the coach, but they are of equal importance in the relationship. Neither of them have anything without each other.
Well, who's the final decision maker?
The coach,
Which would be the husband.
correct?
Okay, so if the coach and the husband makes the final decision, then it is not equal because, like I said before, if the coach says, you're not playing today, if the husband says, sit down, woman, and cook me some food, hey, you got to adhere to it. We make the man makes the final decision. The coach makes the final decision. Therefore, it is not equal. You are proving my points right with your own argument. So if you like that clip and you want to watch more, click right here. But if you want to watch the full episode, click right here.